All right, guys, today we are going to talk about something called hypotonicity or poor posture, low tone, poor balance and coordination. Those are all things that we see very commonly amongst kids, and in particular amongst kids with autism. In fact, a large portion of kids with autism have poor tone, low, poor posture, low hypotonicity. And today we want to talk about why that is and the importance of that neuromuscular system and the importance of how that develops in as a child is growing, and even really how it affects us as adults too. And one of the things that I want to start on talking about is the stress of gravity. See, we don't think of gravity as being a stress on our body, but it really is. And it takes a lot of brain power, a lot of energy for our bodies to be held upright under the stress of gravity. For example, when a patient, or not a patient, when an astronaut, I wish I had an astronaut patient, but I don't have an astronaut patient, but if when an astronaut goes into space, they are not under the stress of gravity for prolonged periods of time. And they try and do things to combat that while they're up in space, like muscle preservation by doing exercise and strength training and different mobility exercises and stuff like that while they're up in space. But and that helps. But when an astronaut comes from space back down to Earth, they have a recovery process that they have to go through. And that is a process. They have to really, they're not only does their muscles and their body have to reintegrate with gravity, but their brain has to reintegrate with gravity. Their cerebellum, their neuromuscular system, the brain and the parts of the cerebellum or the parts of the brain, including the cerebellum, that control posture, muscle activation, that work in unison with our body, with our muscles to hold us upright, has to be retrained. And that takes time. So, and that's from an adult that already has a fully developed neuromuscular system. So when we talk about kids and how that affects kids, kids don't have the ability to hold themselves upright under the stress of gravity as when they're an infant, when they're a baby. But surely as the baby grows and does things like pick their head up, and then they start to sit upright, and then they start to crawl, and then they start to stand upright and pull themselves up on things. All of that we think of as muscular development, but it's really, which it is, but it's really neuromuscular development. The brain has to fire the muscular system and coordinate with the muscular system as the body is growing and learning and going through those phases of development. So when there is stress and tension in that neuromuscular system, or in other words, when there is subluxation or interference within the brain's ability to communicate with the muscular system, that is what we as chiropractors are able to find, detect, and correct. When there is subluxation within the spine, stress and tension, then the brain is not able to properly develop into how to most efficiently hold the body upright in the stress of gravity. So what happens as a kid goes later on in life is they develop things like poor posture. Um, they have a weak core stability. Maybe that comes with some balance and coordination issues. Quite possibly it comes with the inability to sit up at the table during lunch. They're always kind of falling down or falling forward, or kind of maybe even some clumsiness. All of those things are signs that their neuromuscular system is not effectively holding the body upright. So one of the ways that we can assess how the neuromuscular system is functioning is with one of our insight scans that we do in our office. And the picture that we're going to pull up here is a picture of an EMG scan. And it is measuring just that. When we do this on a patient, they are sitting in a stool or they are sitting on a chair upright under the stress of gravity. They are not laying down when we do this scan because because the muscular system is not active when you're laying down. So we do it while you're upright, while the patient is upright, because we want to capture in real time how that neuromuscular system is effectively holding the body upright. And in this scan, you're going to see the white hourglass shape within this scan. That is the normal scan. That is how the body should be effectively holding you upright. And the reason why it's that hourglass shape is within the core, our trunk, that is where the most body mass is. That is where most of the stress and tension resides as we're going throughout our day, as we lean forward, as we sit, as we stand up, as we lift things, as we pick things up, as we hold things. That is where the bulk of our mass is. That's where the bulk of the energy needs to be within our spinal system to hold our body upright. So that's why we see that hourglass shape in the core area. You will typically have more energy in that area, and then ideally less in the upper neck and lower back. So with this scan, you can see the black pattern lines. We see the opposite of that. We see more tension in the neck area and the lower area, and then in the mid-thoracic area, you see those black lines just crash in. They just cave in. That is what we're talking about when we talk about low tone, poor energy control, neuromuscular control. So in this individual, some of the things that they would report in a scan that looks like this is they might feel fatigued. If it's an adult, they might feel low, low energy. They're tired all the time. The musculature within that area might feel tight and tense and exhausted, because it is. And the reason why it feels that way is because that area has been under so much stress for such a long time that those muscles just become exhausted and fatigued. I equate it to, like, if I were to give you a 1 pound weight and ask you to lift it with your bicep, you'd be able to do that for a long time. But if you did it all day, every day, eventually that muscle is it's gonna be exhausted. It's gonna be like, hey, I need a break. And that's what we see on this scan. Now, if this scan, we see a scan similar presentation to this with a kid, they would probably present as they have poor body control. They sit kind of hunched forward all the time in that kind of forward posture presentation. They might have low energy and fatigue throughout the day. They also may have balance issues and coordination issues. So with this, what we would want to see is progress on a scan like this. Is we would like to see that area within that mid-thoracic area. We need to see that area wake up a little bit. We'd want to see those patterns where it crashes in start to come outward a little bit into that hourglass shape. And then we would also want to see that extra stress and tension in the upper neck decrease. And the reason why the upper neck looks more tense in that scan is because of the poor tone and poor posture, the neck is doing the brunt of the work to hold the head up. So that's just one piece, one picture of how we assess a patient's scan and what we look for and how we can improve that. And as we go through and we improve how the neuromuscular energy is in effect holding the body up against the stress of gravity, we find that patients present with better posture, more energy, better range of motion, better core stability, better balance, better coordination. Not because we are treating those types of issues, but we are effectively improving the brain's ability to coordinate with gravity. And that's where the magic happens. And chiropractic also works great in conjunction with things like OT and PT, because PT and OT, they're working with the environment. They're working with strengthening those muscles. And we are working with the neurology that controls those muscles in the first place. So if this video makes sense to you, if this is something that you know somebody that's struggling with posture, core stability, balance, control, whether it be an adult or a kid, we have a special link that we're going to put in the text here that you can hop on our website and very simply schedule yourself a new patient initial visit and consultation, where we can do things like these scans and we can assess how we can help you, your kid, your spouse, whoever that is that you are seeking out help for, yourself. We can help get those scans, get that neuromuscular system functioning more optimally, and that's what's going to help you get the results that you're looking for. So thanks for watching this video. Click the link below, and we'd love to see how we can help you.